Why backyard crab farming is the smartest side hustle of 2025. 1. Opening. What if I told you that your backyard could make more money than your day job, just by raising freshwater crabs? It sounds crazy, right? But in a world where grocery prices keep climbing, gas costs a fortune, and the dream of owning land feels out of reach for most people, a quiet revolution is bubbling beneath the surface, and it's happening in small tanks, not massive farms. Picture this: a peaceful morning somewhere in the American South. The sun cuts through a thin layer of fog hovering above a small pond. A man in worn boots walks to the edge of a simple concrete tank behind his house. He lifts a bamboo cover, and underneath, hundreds of small crabs scurry about, alive, active, and ready for market. What looks like a humble setup is actually a living, breathing gold mine. This isn't the shrimp or tilapia farming you've seen before. This is Backyard Aquaculture 2.0, a smarter, cleaner, and more sustainable way to turn water into wealth. You don't need acres of land or fancy equipment. Just a small cement tank, some patience, and a bit of guidance. The magic comes from understanding nature and letting it work for you. Across Asia, particularly in Vietnam, farmers are rewriting the rules of rural wealth. They've discovered the secret potential of a small but mighty creature, the field crab. Known scientifically as Somaniathelphusia sinensis. For decades, it was just another wild species living in rice paddies and riverbanks. But as the wild population declined and seafood demand exploded, innovative farmers began raising these crabs in small backyard tanks, and the results have been nothing short of extraordinary. Families that once struggled to make ends meet are now turning their 200-square-foot tanks into income streams that rival small businesses. With a simple setup, clean water, natural feed, and basic shelter, they're earning $1, $2, sometimes even $3 per harvest cycle. And the best part? They're doing it sustainably: no antibiotics, no heavy machinery, no wasted water. Now, American homesteaders are catching on. From Louisiana to Georgia, from small-town Florida to suburban California, people are realizing that they don't need to dream about someday owning a farm. They can build one right where they are, one tank, one harvest, one crab at a time. Imagine walking out to your backyard and seeing hundreds of healthy crabs thriving in crystal-clear water. Imagine selling them directly to local restaurants, farmers markets, or seafood lovers in your community. Imagine earning real, recurring income while helping your family eat better, live greener, and gain independence from the unstable economy. This isn't just about crabs. It's about freedom, financial, environmental, and personal. It's about proving that small-scale farming still has a place in the modern world, and that you don't need to own acres of land to make a difference. Welcome to the crab farming revolution. Welcome to the future of farming, where small tanks create big dreams. 2. Meet the star, the freshwater field crab. Meet the star of this revolution, the Asian field crab, Somaniathelphusia sinensis. A small, tough, and incredibly profitable creature that's quietly rewriting the rules of aquaculture. Don't let its size fool you. Beneath that glossy brown shell lies a natural-born survivor, an omnivorous, nocturnal forager that thrives in some of the harshest freshwater environments on Earth. It's built to adapt, to endure, and, when given the right care, to multiply fast. If you've ever worked with crawfish or blue crabs here in the US, you already have a sense of how resilient and fascinating these crustaceans can be. But the freshwater field crab is different, smaller than the Louisiana crawfish, yet sturdier, less aggressive than the Atlantic blue crab, yet more productive. Think of it as the cousin of America's favorite shellfish, but one that can thrive in a backyard tank no bigger than a shed. While most crabs need brackish or coastal waters, this one flourishes in freshwater, ponds, tanks, even converted bathtubs. Physically, the field crab is compact, with a hard, oval-shaped carapace that ranges from amber gold to dark brown. Its claws are uneven, one larger, one smaller, a design that helps it dig, forage, and defend itself. Underneath, 8 nimble legs make it a quick mover, darting between hiding spots, scavenging for food scraps, algae, or snails. It's a cleanup crew and a food source all in one. What truly makes this species remarkable is its omnivorous nature. The field crab isn't picky. It happily eats whatever nature offers: aquatic plants, insects, organic waste, small fish, or grain-based feed. That means you can feed it affordably, using local resources like cornmeal, vegetable scraps, or leftover feed from other livestock. And unlike more sensitive aquatic species, these crabs actually thrive in diversity. They love tanks with natural plants, hiding spaces, and gentle water flow. Their ideal environment is simple, affordable, and easy to manage, making them perfect for small-scale, sustainable farming. But let's talk about the part that gets every farmer's heart racing: profitability. The field crab's life cycle is short, and it grows fast. Within 9 to 10 months, it can reach market size, about 50 to 55 crabs per kilogram. That means quicker harvests, more cycles per year, and more reliable income. And because it reproduces easily, with females laying hundreds of eggs at a time, you can even breed your own stock once your setup is running smoothly. Now, combine that efficiency with market demand. Across Asia, freshwater crabs are more than just food, they're a cultural symbol. In Vietnam, they're turned into rich crab soups and delicate patties. In China, they're a seasonal delicacy served during festivals. In Thailand and Indonesia, they're used in street food and spicy salads that tourists line up to taste. This long-standing love for crab meat has created an unbroken chain of demand, from local families to global exports. And guess what? That same craving is growing here in America. Across major U.S. cities, from Los Angeles to Houston, New York to Seattle, Asian supermarkets and seafood restaurants are importing these crabs at premium prices. The market is there, and it's hungry. By raising them locally, small American farmers can skip the import middlemen, reduce shipping costs, and deliver fresh, live crabs straight to their community, fresher, faster, and far more sustainably. In short, the freshwater field crab is a perfect storm of potential. Low investment, high return. Simple setup, strong demand. Eco-friendly, locally adaptable. It's not just another aquaculture species, it's the blueprint for modern backyard farming. Small, efficient, and resilient, just like the people ready to raise it. 3. The opportunity. For decades, crabs were something you caught, not something you farmed. In the past, rivers, rice fields, and natural wetlands across Asia were teeming with wild freshwater crabs. But as pollution, pesticides, and overharvesting spread, those once abundant populations began to disappear. And the same trend is quietly unfolding across parts of the U.S. too. Coastal and freshwater ecosystems are under increasing pressure, driving up the cost of seafood nationwide. Walk into any grocery store today, and you'll feel it. Shrimp, salmon, crab, everything costs more. Restaurants have slashed portions, seafood counters look emptier, and small businesses are struggling to source fresh, local supply. But in that problem lies an incredible opportunity, one that turns scarcity into sustainability and crisis into cash flow. That opportunity is freshwater crab farming, a model that is eco-friendly, low cost, and high return. Unlike traditional aquaculture, which often depends on high feed inputs and constant water exchange, the freshwater crab thrives in simple, closed-loop systems. That means less water waste, minimal feed costs, and virtually zero pollution. With smart management, a small family can produce hundreds of pounds of high-value crab annually from just a few tanks, all while using less space than a single car garage. Let's talk numbers, because that's where it gets exciting. A small 200-square-foot tank, about the size of an average bedroom, can generate $2 to $3 in profit per cycle, typically within 9 to 10 months. That's real money, earned from something that doesn't require acres of land, expensive machinery, or constant labor. For homesteaders, retirees, or anyone looking for an additional income stream, This is one of the most accessible agricultural ventures available today. But the value isn't just in the profit margins, it's in the market access. Demand for sustainable, locally farmed crab is booming. Farm-to-table restaurants are searching for local alternatives to imported seafood. Asian grocery stores and seafood markets are paying top dollar for live, native-style crabs. Weekend farmers markets are becoming hotspots for small aquaculture startups, where locally raised means premium pricing and loyal customers. The math works in your favor because the product sells itself. Crab is universally loved, buttery, rich, and full of flavor. But unlike marine crabs, freshwater crabs can be raised inland, near your home, in any climate where water temperature can be maintained around 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius. This flexibility opens the door for small farms across the southern U.S., the Midwest, and even controlled environment setups in urban areas. To put it into perspective, let's look at real-life success stories that have inspired this movement. In the province of Truyen Quang, Vietnam, a farmer named Vu Sai Lin turned 10 simple cement tanks into a crab empire. His setup covers less than 2,000 square feet, smaller than most suburban backyards, yet it produces over a ton of crab per month. His income? Roughly $1,200 every month, after expenses. Now imagine that same model adapted for America, in the wetlands of Louisiana, the warm homesteads of Florida, or the aquaculture-friendly counties of Texas. The climate, the resources, and the markets all align. The only thing missing is the first wave of American pioneers willing to try. This isn't just a new income stream, it's the next chapter of smart farming. A model that uses nature, not against it, but in harmony with it, where every tank becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem, producing food, income, and pride. So, while the world worries about food shortages and rising prices, forward-thinking farmers are doing something radical. They're turning backyard water into blue gold. 4. Step-by-step guide. Building your cement crab tank. So, you're ready to turn your backyard into a living, breathing crab farm, not a pond full of mud, but a clean, efficient, and money-making micro-ecosystem. The best part? You don't need a degree in aquaculture to get started. With a few basic materials and smart design choices, you can build a tank that's simple, sustainable, and productive for years. Let's break it down, step by step. Step 1. Tank construction, building the foundation of your success. Everything starts with the tank. Think of it as your crab's home, and like any good home, it needs to be safe, comfortable, and easy to maintain. Straight ruler size and dimensions. The ideal tank size ranges between 20 to 50 square meters, roughly 215 to 540 square feet, with a depth of 3 to 4 feet. If you're starting small, even a 100 square foot setup works perfectly fine. What matters most is how well you manage it, not how big it is. Design the tank so that the bottom slopes gently, 2 to 3%, toward one side. This slight incline allows you to drain water easily, a key to keeping your crabs healthy and your system clean. Brick building materials. Cement tanks are preferred because they're durable, easy to clean, and help regulate water temperature. You can use bricks, concrete, or old water troughs if you're working on a tight budget. At the lowest point of the slope, install a PVC drain pipe, 2 to 4 inches in diameter, connected to an adjustable valve. This gives you full control over water exchange and cleaning, no buckets or messy siphoning required. Sun behind small cloud sunlight and temperature control. Crabs like warmth but not direct, scorching sunlight. Cover about 60 to 70% of the tank's surface using a shade net, bamboo roof, or greenhouse mesh. This setup prevents overheating during summer and protects the crabs from predators and curious raccoons or birds. Wood natural hiding spots. Crabs are territorial and molt frequently, so giving them space to hide reduces stress and cannibalism. Use materials like bamboo tubes, hollow bricks, coconut shells, or broken tiles, and arrange them across the bottom of the tank. Think of it as designing an underwater apartment complex. Each crab gets a room. If you want to go the extra mile, stack the hiding materials in layers, leaving gaps for water to circulate freely. These spots will become your crab's favorite places to rest and shed their shells safely. Light bulb bonus tip. Line part of the tank floor with fine sand or gravel. It encourages natural digging behavior and helps maintain better footing for the crabs, especially during molting. Step 2. Water preparation. Creating the perfect mini ecosystem. Once your tank is ready, it's time to prepare the environment, because great water means great harvests. Droplet Step 2.1. Fill with clean fresh water. Use well water, filtered rainwater, or river water that's free from chlorine, soap, or detergents. Tap water can be used too, but let it sit for 24 hours to allow chemicals to evaporate. Maintain a water depth of 10 to 12 inches, 25 to 30 centimeters, during the first phase. That's shallow enough for easy feeding and monitoring, but deep enough for crabs to move comfortably. Balance scale check water quality. Crabs are hardy, but they thrive best when the water stays balanced. pH 6.5 to 8.0. Temperature 77 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. Ammonia, nitrite, 0 ppm. Use probiotics to control. A simple $10-15 test kit from Amazon or your local aquarium shop can tell you everything you need to know. Seedling Step 2.2. Add aquatic plants. Adding plants isn't just decoration, it's life support. Floating plants like duckweed, water spinach, kong kong, or water hyacinth play multiple roles. Provide shade and oxygen. Absorb waste and ammonia. Serve as natural feed for crabs. Create hiding zones that reduce aggression. Keep plant coverage to about 1/3 of the tank surface. Too many plants block water flow and reduce oxygen levels at night. Microbe Step 2.3. Seed the tank with microbes. Before you add any crabs, the water must come alive. That means building a biological balance, a colony of beneficial microbes that will keep the water clean and stable. Use a microbial probiotic designed for aquaculture, such as EM1, BioAqua, or any locally available equivalent. Add 1 to 2 milliliters per gallon of water, or about 1 liter per 20 cubic meters. And let the system run for 3 to 5 days. During this time, the bacteria will begin breaking down organic matter and preparing the tank's micro-ecosystem. If you have access to old pond water or natural biosludge, you can add a small portion, about 10%, to seed your system even faster. Running aeration and circulation. While crabs can tolerate low oxygen levels, adding gentle aeration ensures optimal health and faster growth. A small solar-powered air pump or low-watt aquarium aerator will keep the water fresh and oxygenated. You'll also notice a side benefit: reduced odor and better feed conversion efficiency. In short, a little oxygen goes a long way. Step 3. Pre-stocking inspection, optional but highly recommended. Before introducing your crabs, double-check your system like a pilot before takeoff. Drain out 20% of the water and refill with fresh. Make sure there are no leaks or chemical residues. Test pH, ammonia, and dissolved oxygen one last time. Let the water stabilize for at least 3 days after adding probiotics and plants. If the tank smells clean and earthy, not chemical or rotten, congratulations. You've just created a living, breathing mini habitat ready for your first generation of crabs. Why cement tanks work so well? Cement tanks are more than just a convenient option, they're a symbol of efficiency. Unlike earthen ponds, which depend on unpredictable rainfall and are hard to clean, cement tanks offer full control. You decide the water level. You decide when to clean and feed. You can harvest anytime without draining a whole pond. It's aquaculture on your terms, controlled, consistent, and clean. The bigger picture. Every great farm starts with a single foundation, in this case. A tank filled not just with water, But with potential, what you're building isn't just a concrete structure, it's a living ecosystem where nature and human ingenuity meet halfway. You've just completed the first step of the backyard crab farming revolution, the one that turns ordinary backyards into sustainable income streams. Your next step? Bringing it to life with the right crabs, care, and consistency. 5. Stocking and crab management. Once your tank is built and the water is balanced, it's time to introduce the stars of your system, the crabs themselves. This stage is where careful preparation meets biology. Get it right, and your tank will become a small, self-sustaining ecosystem that practically runs itself. Get it wrong, and you'll be fighting against nature instead of working with it. Let's walk through how to build a thriving, well-managed freshwater crab colony from day one. Selecting the seed crabs. Choosing the foundation of your farm. The first and most important step is choosing the right juveniles, the seed crabs that will define your success. Think of it like planting fruit trees. The healthier your seedlings, the stronger your harvest. Look for healthy, active juveniles measuring between 1.2 and 1.4 centimeters, about half an inch, across the shell. They should have bright, glossy shells, complete legs and claws, and no visible injuries. Avoid those with dull color, missing limbs, or lethargic movement. These are early signs of stress or disease. Always source from trusted hatcheries or local crab farms with a good reputation. In some U.S. regions, especially in states like Louisiana, Texas, and Florida, small aquaculture suppliers now offer field crab juveniles for pilot-scale setups. If imported, make sure they've undergone proper quarantine and health checks. Avoid mixing different sizes in the same tank. Crabs are opportunistic feeders, and when molting season comes, larger individuals will cannibalize smaller ones. Uniform size equals uniform growth equals higher survival. Best season for stocking: early to mid-spring, March to May, when temperatures naturally stay between 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 to 28 degrees Celsius. Crabs adapt faster in stable conditions and start feeding actively within a few hours after release. Before stocking, acclimate your crabs. Float the transport bag in your tank water for 15 to 20 minutes to equalize temperature. Then slowly mix in small amounts of tank water for another 10 minutes. Finally, release the crabs gently along the edges of the tank, not in the middle. This allows them to explore and find hiding spots quickly, reducing stress. Stocking density: the balance between space and profit. Like real estate, success in aquaculture is all about space optimization. Too few crabs, and you waste potential. Too many, and you create competition and stress. The ideal stocking density for freshwater field crabs is 20 to 30 crabs per square meter. That's about 400 to 600 crabs in a 200 square foot tank. Or roughly 20 to 30 pounds of seed crabs at stocking time. If you're just starting out, keep it light for your first cycle, closer to 20 per square meter. This gives you room to learn water management and feeding habits without risking overcrowding. Once you gain experience and stabilize your system, you can safely increase density for higher output. Monitor how they behave in the first 48 hours. Healthy, comfortable crabs will spread evenly across the tank, hide under objects, and feed actively. If they're piling up in corners or climbing out, that's a red flag. Check temperature, oxygen levels, and pH immediately. Feeding routine: the art of efficient nutrition. Feeding is where science meets rhythm, and your consistency here will make or break your profit margin. When to feed: feed your crabs twice daily, ideally around 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. They're nocturnal by nature, so the evening meal is especially important. Early morning feeding keeps them active and ensures steady growth. How much to feed? Provide food equal to 5 to 7% of their total body weight per day. For example, if your tank holds 10 kilograms, 22 pounds, of crabs, feed about 0.5 to 0.7 kilograms, 1.1 to 1.5 pounds, daily. Divided into 2 meals. Overfeeding leads to water pollution, while underfeeding slows growth and increases aggression. What to feed? The freshwater field crab is omnivorous. It eats both plant and animal matter. Here's a proven feed formula that's both cost-effective and nutrient-rich. Base feed, 50% cooked cornmeal, rice bran, or wheat mash. Protein source, 30% minced fish, snails, small frogs, or leftover seafood scraps. Vegetable matter, 15% chopped greens, duckweed, or spinach. Supplements, 5% crushed shells or limestone, for calcium. And a pinch of mineral mix or vitamin C powder once a week. Pro tip. Every 10 days, mix probiotics, such as M1 or bacillus-based culture, into feed at 1 to 2 grams per kilogram. This keeps the crab's gut healthy and reduces waste buildup in the tank. Feed near the edges or shallow spots where crabs naturally forage. Always remove leftover food after 2 to 3 hours to prevent decay. The cleaner your tank, the fewer problems you'll face. Water management. Keeping the balance alive. Water is life, and for your crabs, it's everything. Proper water management keeps the environment stable, the crabs growing, and diseases at bay. Water change schedule. First month, change 30 to 50% of the water every 5 days. After the first month, increase to every 2 to 3 days, replacing 50 to 70% of the water. Always perform water changes during midday, when crabs are less active and hiding. Avoid sudden, full drainage. It shocks the system and stresses the crabs. Temperature. Keep the temperature between 77 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. Below 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Feeding slows. Above 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Oxygen drops fast. In colder climates, you can use a simple greenhouse cover or black plastic lining to retain warmth. In hotter areas, floating plants and partial shading will naturally cool the water. Aeration and circulation. Although crabs can breathe air for short periods, they still rely heavily on dissolved oxygen. Install small aerators or solar-powered circulation pumps in each tank. Even a basic airstone setup will increase oxygen, reduce harmful gases like ammonia, and keep the tank fresh. pH and oxygen levels. Monitor weekly. Ideal pH is 6.5 to 8.0, and dissolved oxygen should stay above 4 mg per liter. If pH drops, add crushed limestone or oyster shells, 100 to 200 grams per cubic meter. If oxygen dips, increase aeration or add more aquatic plants. Probiotic and biofilter maintenance. Every 2 weeks, apply a liquid biofilter or microbial solution to maintain water clarity and control waste. Dosage: 1 liter per 20 cubic meters of water. Function: breaks down organic waste, balances microflora, and eliminates foul odor. Molting care and stress management. Crabs grow by molting, shedding their old shells and forming new ones. During this stage, they're vulnerable and should be left undisturbed. To protect them, maintain plenty of hiding spots, bamboo, tiles, plants. Keep the water calm, no sudden water changes. Increase feed with calcium-rich items, crushed snail shells, shrimp heads, etc., 3 to 4 days before expected molting cycles. Molting usually occurs every 20 to 30 days in young crabs and less frequently as they mature. Daily routine checklist. 1. Check for dead or weak crabs. Remove immediately. 2. Observe feeding response. Active equals healthy. 3. Test temperature and pH every morning. 4. Remove waste and leftover feed after meals. 5. Add fresh water and aerate before sunset. 5 minutes of observation each morning and evening can save you hours of trouble later. Crab farming isn't about constant labor, it's about consistent attention. The key to consistency. What makes crab farming so rewarding is how quickly you can see results. Within just a few weeks, your crabs will grow visibly larger, more active, and more resilient. You'll start recognizing individual behaviors, the bold ones that come out first to feed, the shy ones that hide under plants, the molting shells that signal progress. You're not just feeding animals, you're nurturing a miniature ecosystem that pays you back in both profit and pride. Once you master stocking and management, the rest, from disease prevention to harvesting, becomes second nature. You're now officially a crab farmer, and your backyard has just turned into a living investment. 6. Growth and molting care. If there's one magical, yet nerve-wracking, moment in crab farming, it's molting. Every crab farmer, whether in Asia or America, remembers the first time they watched it happen. A crab slowly pushing out of its old shell. Soft and glistening under the water. Reborn into a new phase of life. This delicate process isn't just fascinating, it's the single most important stage of growth in a crab's entire life cycle. Understanding it means the difference between an average harvest and an exceptional one. The miracle of molting, how crabs grow. Unlike fish, crabs don't grow gradually. Their hard exoskeleton, the shell that protects them, doesn't expand. Instead, crabs grow in leaps, shedding their old armor and forming a new one every few weeks. This process, called molting, happens 6 to 10 times during a crab's growth from juvenile to market size. Here's how it works. 1. The crab's body begins producing enzymes that soften the old shell. 2. Pressure builds internally as the crab absorbs water, swelling its body. 3. The old shell splits, usually along the back, and the crab slowly pushes its way out, leaving behind a perfect ghostly replica of itself. 4. For the next 24 to 48 hours, its new shell remains soft, flexible, and dangerously fragile. During this short window, the crab is at its most vulnerable to stress, poor water quality, and especially to its tank mates. The danger of cannibalism. Molting is a natural, beautiful process, but in a crowded tank, it can quickly turn deadly. Freshly molted crabs can't defend themselves, and harder-shelled crabs instinctively attack anything soft or slow-moving. In the wild, the molter hides in mud or dense vegetation. In captivity, it depends on you to provide safety. Cannibalism can kill up to 40% of young stock if hiding spaces are limited. That's not just a biological challenge, it's a financial one. Every crab lost is profit lost. To prevent this, follow these key strategies. Create abundant shelters. Use bamboo pipes, hollow bricks, PVC tubes, coconut shells, or even stacks of clay tiles to give each crab a private room. A good rule: at least one hiding space per crab. Add aquatic plants. Floating plants like duckweed or water hyacinth not only purify water but also create shade and natural cover. Avoid bright lighting. Crabs are nocturnal. Bright, constant light increases stress and aggression. Use indirect sunlight or a shaded area. If indoors, use dim LED lighting with a night cycle. Do not overfeed. Too much uneaten food decomposes quickly, lowering oxygen and raising ammonia, both deadly during molting. Feed small, consistent portions and remove leftovers after 2 to 3 hours. Observe behavior closely. Before molting, crabs often eat less, hide more, and appear sluggish. During this period, avoid handling or disturbing the tank. Water quality during molting. Molting success depends heavily on water stability. Even slight fluctuations in temperature, pH, or oxygen can cause incomplete molts, when the crab gets stuck halfway out of its shell and dies. Maintain optimal conditions. Temperature: 77 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. pH: 6.5 to 8.0. Oxygen: above 4 milligrams per liter. Ammonia: 0 ppm. Add aeration during the night when oxygen drops naturally. You can use small solar-powered air pumps or simple aquarium bubblers. Every 7 to 10 days, mix a calcium supplement or crushed shell powder into feed. Calcium strengthens the new exoskeleton, helping the crab harden faster after molting. For an extra boost, dissolve vitamin C, 1 to 2 grams per kilogram of feed, once a week. It enhances immunity and helps repair tissue after each molt. The 24-hour rule. After a molt, resist the temptation to check or touch your crabs. Their new shells need at least 24 hours to harden. Any disturbance can cause deformities or death. Instead, observe quietly. You'll notice them staying still, occasionally fanning their gills. It's their way of drying and strengthening the new armor. If you see a few empty shells floating on the surface, don't panic. That's good news. It means your crabs are growing. However, remove the old shells after 48 hours to prevent bacterial buildup. A scene of renewal. Imagine this moment in your video. Slow motion footage of a crab slipping out of its shell. Delicate and pale like porcelain. Water ripples around it as sunlight filters through green leaves above. A soft voice narrates. In this fragile moment, the crab sheds its past and embraces its future. Every molt is a rebirth, a symbol of resilience, transformation, and growth. The same spirit that drives nature to renew itself is the same spirit that drives every farmer to start fresh, to rebuild, and to rise stronger than before. That's the power of molting, not just a biological event, but a metaphor for farming itself. Each cycle, each season, each setback, and recovery, they're all forms of renewal. The takeaway: successful molting equals successful farming. Provide safety, maintain balance, and respect nature's rhythm. When your crabs molt freely and safely, you're witnessing more than growth, you're watching profit come alive. The stronger their shells, the stronger your foundation for the next phase: disease prevention, harvest, and profit. 7. Preventing disease and maintaining health. Healthy crabs mean healthy profits. But as every experienced farmer knows, prevention is worth far more than cure, especially in aquaculture, where water can either be your greatest ally or your biggest threat. The beauty of freshwater crab farming is that, with the right management, you can keep disease outbreaks close to zero without ever touching harsh chemicals or antibiotics. This is where good habits and natural solutions truly pay off. Understanding the common enemies. Even though the freshwater field crab is one of the toughest creatures in aquaculture, it's not invincible. The 3 most common problems you'll encounter are parasites, black gill disease, and oxygen stress. Parasites usually appear when tanks are overcrowded or poorly cleaned. You'll notice weak movement, dull shells, or small white specks on the legs and gills. Black gill disease happens when organic waste builds up, reducing oxygen and allowing bacteria to attack the gills. The gills turn dark, crabs slow down, and feeding drops sharply. Oxygen stress is the silent killer. It often happens at night or after heavy feeding when decaying feed consumes dissolved oxygen. Crabs will climb walls or float near the surface, desperate for air. Most of these problems aren't caused by the crabs themselves, but by an imbalance in their environment. The solution isn't stronger chemicals, it's smarter management. Prevention, the golden rule of crab farming. Healthy water equals healthy crabs. Keep that mantra in mind every single day. 1. Keep the water clean and balanced. Change 30 to 50% of the water every few days, and siphon out debris from the bottom. Always use water that's free from chlorine, detergents, or fertilizers. If you're using well water, aerate it for a few hours before adding it to your tank. Maintain the sweet spot for your crabs. pH 6.5 to 8.0. Temperature 77 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. Oxygen above 4 milligrams per liter. Ammonia near zero. These stable numbers are like a daily health insurance policy for your farm. 2. Use probiotics, your invisible farm workers. Instead of relying on antibiotics, let beneficial microbes do the job naturally. Add biological water treatment once every 7 to 10 days. Dosage: 1 to 2 liters per 20 cubic meters of water. These microbes digest leftover feed, control harmful bacteria, and keep your tank odor-free. Brands like V-Bio, EM1, or any aquaculture-grade bacillus culture work well. You can even make your own homemade probiotics using molasses, yeast, and rice water, a trick borrowed from sustainable Vietnamese farmers. 3. Supplement feed with immune boosters. Add vitamin C, 1 to 2 grams per kilogram of feed, and a mineral mix weekly to strengthen crab immunity and improve shell formation. A little calcium carbonate or crushed oyster shell sprinkled in the feed helps prevent molting issues and deformities. 4. Add natural filters. Aquatic plants like water spinach, duckweed, or floating ferns act as live purifiers, absorbing excess nutrients and releasing oxygen. They're the green lungs of your tank, quiet, cheap, and incredibly effective. Daily inspection routine. The 10-minute habit that saves you thousands. A few minutes of observation each day can prevent months of problems later. Here's what every farmer should do. Morning, 6 to 8 a.m. Check for any floating or dead crabs and remove them immediately. Observe movement. Healthy crabs should be alert and active. Test temperature and pH quickly with a handheld meter. Feeding time, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Watch how quickly they eat. A strong appetite means good health. If feed remains after 2 hours, reduce the next meal and check oxygen. Evening, after sunset. Make sure aerators or solar pumps are working. Look for unusual behavior. Crabs climbing walls or gasping near the surface indicate low oxygen. Consistency is everything. These habits turn you from a crab grower into a crab whisperer, someone who notices the smallest signs before they turn into major issues. Natural defense. Choosing biology over chemicals. Chemicals might kill bacteria, but they also destroy the delicate ecosystem you've worked so hard to build. Instead, use biological and herbal methods that protect both your crabs and your conscience. For parasites, use potassium permanganate, at a safe dose of 1 gram per cubic meter. Or apply a mild salt bath, 5 grams of salt per liter of water for 10 minutes, to infected crabs in a separate tank. For black gill disease, improve aeration, change 70% of the water, and apply probiotics daily for a week. Supplement vitamin C and avoid feeding spoiled food. For general maintenance, once a month, drain and clean the tank walls with diluted vinegar or lime water. Then refill and reseed with beneficial microbes. This green approach not only saves money but also attracts eco-conscious buyers who value chemical-free products. In the U.S. market, that difference can double your selling price when you target organic food stores or farm-to-table restaurants. A message for the eco-farmer. Crab farming isn't just about making money, it's about building harmony with nature. Every drop of water, every grain of feed, and every breath of oxygen matters. You're not raising crabs in isolation, you're cultivating a living, balanced micro-ecosystem that rewards care and discipline. And the best part? Once your system stabilizes, nature does most of the work for you. Healthy water becomes self-regulating. Strong crabs fight off infections naturally. And your tank becomes an example of sustainable aquaculture in its purest form. So when viewers see this segment, let them feel it, not just as science, but as stewardship. When we protect the water protects us back. Healthy crabs, healthy planet, healthy future. That's the true spirit of modern farming, not domination, but cooperation. 8. Harvesting and profits. After months of careful work, feeding, cleaning, observing, and waiting, the moment every crab farmer dreams of finally arrives: harvest time. This is the reward for your patience, your discipline, and your willingness to trust in the rhythm of nature. By this stage, your tank is alive with healthy, hard-shelled crabs, each one a living symbol of transformation, from a small, delicate juvenile to a strong, market-ready delicacy. When to harvest? Timing is everything. The ideal harvest window comes after 9 to 10 months of grow out. When most of your crabs reach 50 to 55 individuals per kilogram, roughly 8 to 10 ounces each. At this stage, they've developed thick shells, firm meat, and the rich, buttery flavor that seafood buyers love. If you harvest too early, you lose weight and profit. Too late, and you risk overcrowding and aggression as the crabs start competing for territory. A simple rule of thumb: when 70 to 80% of your crabs reach full size. It's time to begin harvesting in batches. This allows smaller ones to continue growing, ensuring you maximize both size and survival. Harvesting techniques: gentle hands, big rewards. Crabs may be tough, but harvesting them requires finesse. You're not scooping mudfish or tilapia, you're handling creatures that can pinch, scratch, and escape faster than you think. Harvest during cooler hours, preferably early morning, 5 to 7 a.m., or late evening, 5 to 7 p.m., when the crabs are less active and easier to catch. Here are the most effective methods used by successful farmers. Handpicking. The most traditional and precise way. Use a small net or your hands, with gloves, to collect crabs hiding under tiles, bamboo tubes, or plants. It's slow but ensures minimal stress and zero damage to your stock. Baited traps. Place small funnel traps with bits of fish or snail meat in the tank overnight. The scent draws crabs in naturally. By dawn, you'll have a full catch ready for sorting. Partial harvesting. Don't empty your entire tank at once. Start by removing the largest individuals. Then let the smaller ones continue growing for another few weeks. This approach increases overall yield and helps you maintain a steady income flow instead of waiting for one big payout. Once caught, rinse the crabs gently with clean water. Avoid exposing them to direct sunlight or stacking them too high, they need to breathe. Sorting and preparing for sale. After harvest, separate your crabs by size and quality. Buyers appreciate consistency. A well-sorted batch not only fetches a higher price but also builds your reputation as a reliable supplier. Grade A, large, 45 to 50 crabs per kilogram, premium restaurant and export quality. Grade B, medium, 50 to 55 crabs per kilogram, perfect for local markets and grocery stores. Grade C, small, over 60 crabs per kilogram, ideal for processing or direct farm sales. Keep the crabs moist and cool during transport. For short distances, line baskets with damp cloth and sprinkle water regularly. For longer trips, use ventilated crates with a thin layer of damp hay or aquatic plants. The numbers that matter. Now let's talk about what every farmer wants to know, the bottom line. Survival rate. Approximately 80%, typical for small backyard setups with good management. Yield per tank. 7 to 8 kilograms, 15 to 18 pounds, of market-size crabs. Selling price. $12 - 15 per kilogram for live crabs in local markets or Asian groceries. Cost per cycle. $150 to 200 for feed, maintenance, and utilities. Net profit per tank. $300 - 500 per cycle. Depending on density and local prices. Multiply that by 10 tanks, and you're looking at $3 - 5.000 per harvest. Or roughly $6 - 10.000 per year for a small backyard operation. All from a space no larger than a 2-car garage. That's more stable than crypto, cleaner than poultry, and tastier than tilapia. Why crabs beat other backyard models? Let's put this in perspective. Compared to chickens, crabs require no constant feeding, no noise complaints, and no odor management. They don't need antibiotics or heating lamps, just clean water and steady care. Compared to fish, crabs tolerate lower oxygen and variable water conditions. They're less prone to viral outbreaks, and their omnivorous diet is cheaper and easier to manage. Compared to vegetables or hydroponics, the yield per square foot is far higher. A 200 square foot tank can outperform a 500 square foot garden in value, with far less manual labor. Crab farming is, in many ways, the perfect balance between simplicity and profitability, a low-risk, high-return model that rewards patience rather than luck, turning harvest into a sustainable business. The true power of this model lies not just in one cycle, but in repetition and scale. Once your tanks are established, you can stagger your harvests, for example, harvesting 2 tanks each month, to maintain continuous cash flow throughout the year. From there, the possibilities expand. Sell live crabs to restaurants and seafood markets. Process and freeze for local Asian supermarkets. Create a farm brand, locally raised freshwater crabs, clean, sustainable, delicious. Add storytelling to your marketing. Show your customers where their food comes from, how your system uses no chemicals, and how you're helping reduce pressure on wild populations. Consumers today crave transparency, and that's your competitive edge. The emotional payoff. Beyond the profits and numbers, there's a deeper reward. Standing over your tank at dawn, watching crabs move gracefully through the water, knowing you built this ecosystem with your own hands, that feeling is priceless. Every shell, every ripple, every movement reminds you that small dreams can create real, tangible change. You're not just raising crabs, you're raising hope, proof that farming doesn't have to be massive to be meaningful. So when you finally lift that basket full of shimmering, living crabs, remember, you didn't just harvest seafood. You harvested resilience. 9. Secret to consistent success. Every successful crab farmer knows the truth. Anyone can start, but only the consistent ones thrive. Building a sustainable, profitable backyard aquaculture system isn't about luck, it's about rhythm, observation, and smart habits that keep your ecosystem balanced month after month. Let's uncover the secrets that separate average farmers from those who turn small tanks into steady income streams. Season after season. 1. Water quality, the invisible foundation of profit. You can't see it, but water quality is the heartbeat of your farm. When it's right, everything else, growth, survival, feeding, falls into place effortlessly. When it's wrong, no amount of feed or care can fix it. To maintain stable water quality, do a full bio-cleaning once a month. Drain about 70% of the water. Scrub the tank walls gently with a brush. Remove sludge from the bottom. And refill with clean, aged fresh water. Never replace 100% at once. Crabs dislike abrupt change. Use probiotics regularly. Add 1 to 2 liters per 20 cubic meters of water every 2 weeks. This keeps beneficial bacteria alive, which in turn digest organic waste, balance pH, and eliminate foul odors. Apply lime or calcium carbonate once a month, about 7 to 10 kilograms per 100 square meters. It stabilizes pH and strengthens crab shells naturally. These simple routines prevent 90% of common problems, without chemicals, without panic, and without extra cost. 2. Nature is your partner. Add natural filters and companions. Crab farming becomes effortless when you let nature help you. Your tank isn't just a container, it's a living ecosystem, a small version of how rivers and wetlands purify themselves. Herb add natural filters. Water hyacinth, duckweed, and water spinach are natural cleaning machines. They absorb excess nutrients like nitrogen and ammonia while providing shade and oxygen. Keep them at about 30% coverage of the tank's surface. Bamboo poles or roots act as biological filters too. Bacteria grow on their surfaces, breaking down waste while offering more hiding spaces for crabs. Snail introduce tank companions. To balance your ecosystem, introduce small, compatible species that work alongside your crabs instead of competing with them. Snails feed on leftover food and algae, keeping the tank floor clean. Tiny filter fish, like guppies or mosquito fish, eat mosquito larvae and improve water circulation. Aquatic plants regulate oxygen naturally and beautify your setup. Together, these organisms form a symbiotic system, one that purifies itself, saving you both time and money. It's not just farming, it's engineering harmony. 3. Record everything. Data-driven farming. Traditional farming runs on experience, modern farming runs on data. You don't need fancy sensors or apps to start, just a notebook, a thermometer, and 5 minutes each day. Track these 4 simple things. 1. Temperature. Measure water temperature twice a day, morning and evening. Crabs eat and grow best between 77 to 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. 2. Feeding. Record how much feed you give and how much is left after 2 hours. This helps you fine-tune portions and save money. 3. Behavior. Note changes in movement, molting, or color. Small shifts often reveal bigger issues early. 4. Water condition. Observe the color and smell. Clear or slightly greenish water is healthy. Cloudy or foul-smelling water signals trouble. After 1 or 2 months, you'll start seeing patterns, for example, how temperature affects feeding speed, or how rainfall impacts water quality. These insights turn guesswork into strategy. As one Vietnamese farmer famously said, "You can't manage what you don't measure." That's the mindset that transforms hobbyists into professionals. 4. Automate the boring stuff. Smart tools for smart farmers. Technology isn't the enemy of traditional farming, it's the evolution of it. You don't need high-end gadgets or corporate-level systems, just small, affordable tools that make your daily routine easier and more consistent. Droplet solar-powered pumps. A simple 20 to 40 watt solar aerator can keep oxygen levels stable all day without adding to your electricity bill. They're quiet, reliable, and pay for themselves within a few months. Thermometer digital water sensors. Handheld pH and temperature meters cost less than $20, yet they give you real-time insights that prevent hundreds of dollars in losses. Set reminders to test weekly, or automate with a floating sensor that sends data to your phone. Fork and knife with plate smart feeders. Automated feeders can be programmed to drop food twice daily at precise intervals. Consistent feeding reduces waste, improves growth, and keeps the water cleaner. You can even repurpose fish feeders for small crab tanks. Cell phone apps and notes. Free apps like Google Sheets, Notion, or even your phone's memo pad can help log data, photos, and expenses. Over time, you'll build your own personalized crab Bible, a record of what works best for your climate. Feed and system. Automation doesn't replace care, it amplifies it. 5. The philosophy of sustainable success. At the heart of consistent success is one simple principle: farming with empathy. Technology, data, and tools mean nothing if you don't understand the soul of what you're raising. Every crab is part of a larger story, a living thread in a delicate balance of water, light, and life. Take time to walk around your tank, to listen, to observe. Watch how crabs emerge at dusk, how they move, how they breathe. Those quiet moments teach you more than any textbook ever could. Because crab farming isn't just science, it's rhythm. The rhythm of cycles, tides, and patience. 6. A message for the modern farmer. We live in a world obsessed with speed, faster growth, faster profits, faster turnover, but real farming doesn't rush, it flows. So, embrace the mix of tradition and innovation. Let bamboo and data live side by side. Let solar energy power your pumps, and your hands feed the crabs. Because in this hybrid model, part nature, part technology, lies the future of food security and sustainability. Technology doesn't replace the farmer, it empowers them. That's not a slogan, it's the truth. Machines can feed, test, and measure, but only a farmer can feel when the water is right. Only a farmer knows when life in the tank is thriving. And when you combine that intuition with smart tools, clean systems, and consistent records, you create a model that doesn't just make money, it inspires. 7. The circle of success. Sustainable crab farming isn't a straight line. It's a circle, a repeating cycle of stocking, caring, harvesting, and starting again. Each time, you refine a little more, waste a little less, and earn a little better. Water right pointing arrow crabs, right pointing arrow waste, right pointing arrow plants, right pointing arrow clean water. Effort right pointing arrow data, right pointing arrow insight, right pointing arrow growth, right pointing arrow reward. That's the circle of success. And the longer you stay in it, the more powerful it becomes. You're not just building a crab farm, you're building a system that works with nature, not against it. A living, breathing proof that modern farmers can thrive by combining tradition, science, and heart. So keep your tanks clean, your notes full, and your curiosity alive. That's the real secret to turning one tank into a lifetime of prosperity. 10. Real success stories. Behind every thriving farm is a story of courage, curiosity, and transformation. Crab farming may sound like a new idea to many Americans, but across the world, real people have already proven that it works. These success stories are more than just numbers, they are living proof that even small dreams, when nurtured with care, can grow into something extraordinary. Let's meet 3 pioneers who turned humble beginnings into remarkable success, and see how their journeys could inspire the next generation of modern American farmers. 1. Tom Nguyen, the Louisiana dreamer who built a backyard crab empire. When Tom Nguyen moved from Vietnam to Louisiana, he brought with him 2 things: a strong work ethic and a memory of the small crab tanks back home in Tuyên Quang. For years, he worked odd jobs, welding, landscaping, construction, until one day, he saw an empty stretch of backyard behind his house and thought, why not turn this into something alive? Today, that same backyard hosts 10 cement tanks, each no larger than a bedroom. Together, they produce nearly 1.000 pounds of freshwater crabs every month. The setup is simple but smart: shaded tanks lined with bamboo tubes, solar aerators humming quietly, and a few snails grazing along the bottom. Every morning before sunrise, Tom checks the water, sprinkles feed, and watches his crabs crawl out for breakfast. It's peaceful, he says. They don't complain, they just grow. His numbers speak for themselves. With a survival rate of 80%, Tom earns between $1.200 and $1.500 a month, selling live crabs to local Asian markets and small Cajun restaurants that can't get enough of his product. But for Tom, the real joy isn't the profit, it's the independence. I used to wait for payday, he says with a smile. Now, I make my own. Before, an unused backyard, a dream too small to take seriously. After, a thriving microfarm that feeds both his family and his ambition. 2. David La, California's water-to-wealth innovator. 1,000 miles west, in sunny Southern California, David La has taken crab farming to the next level by combining it with aquaponics and multi-species farming. David, a former tech technician turned eco-farmer, saw the potential of merging crabs with other aquatic life. On his property outside San Jose, he built a series of interconnected tanks, one for crabs, one for catfish, and a smaller one for snails and aquatic plants. Together, they form a perfect loop, a miniature ecosystem where waste from one species becomes nutrients for another. The catfish keep the water clean by consuming organic debris, David explains. The snails recycle leftover food. The crabs thrive in the stable environment, and everything stays in balance. This integrated setup means he can run his system almost maintenance-free. The water rarely needs replacement. Feed costs are lower, and disease risk is minimal. With just 4 tanks totaling 500 square feet, David produces over 400 pounds of crabs and 300 pounds of catfish per cycle, earning $3 or more every 9 to 10 months. But his innovation doesn't stop there. David also built a viewing area beside his tanks, where he hosts open farm Saturdays, letting families and students see sustainable aquaculture in action. I want people to realize farming isn't outdated, he says. It's evolving, and anyone can be part of it. Before, long days at a computer, feeling disconnected from nature. After, a lifestyle built around balance, education, and clean food production. 3. The Georgia Community Farm Pilot, breeding hope. One seed crab at a time. Not every farmer raises crabs for meat. In rural Georgia, a small community collective is proving there's another equally valuable business: breeding crab seed for others. Inspired by models from Ha Tin, Vietnam, the group started with a single 50 square meter, 540 square feet, tank on borrowed land. Their focus? Breeding and nurturing baby crabs, the seedlings that other farmers can stock and grow. The pilot began as part of a youth farming program supported by local agricultural nonprofits. Within 6 months, they had developed a successful hatchery method, using a 3-to-7 male to female ratio and keeping water clean through daily probiotic treatment and natural filtration. Each batch produces 500 to 1.000 juvenile crabs per kilogram of broodstock. And the farm now sells to small homesteads and aquaponic startups across the Southeast. Their monthly income? Between $800 and $1, depending on demand, modest but growing steadily. More importantly, the farm has become a local training center, teaching sustainable crab breeding to schools and aspiring young entrepreneurs. "We're not just raising crabs," says project leader Jasmine Carter. "We're raising opportunities. Every juvenile we sell helps someone start their own backyard farm." Before, an empty plot of land and a community with limited job prospects. After, a thriving education hub, where knowledge and sustainability grow side by side. 4. The common thread. Passion meets practicality. What connects Tom in Louisiana, David in California, and Jasmine's team in Georgia isn't luck, it's mindset. Each of them started small, thought creatively, and treated their tanks like ecosystems, not factories. They shared 3 habits that any future farmer can copy. 1. Consistency over complexity. They didn't chase trends or overbuild, they perfected simple systems. 2. Respect for nature. Instead of chemicals, they relied on clean water, natural filters, and balanced environments. 3. Community connection. Each farmer turned their operation into more than a business. It became a local story worth sharing. Their success proves that crab farming isn't just a side hustle. It's a pathway to independence, a model that can work in almost any region of America with warm weather, clean water, and determination. 5. Before and after. The emotional transformation. If you were to walk through each of their farms, the contrast would be striking. Before, bare concrete, empty space, uncertainty. After, tanks shimmering with life, quiet confidence in every movement of the crabs. Families gathering to feed, neighbors asking questions, children learning how water can bring wealth. Each crab in those tanks is more than food, it's a symbol of what happens when humans choose to work with nature rather than against it. As Tom Nguyen likes to say, you don't need to own a big farm to change your life. Sometimes, all it takes is a backyard, a bucket of crabs, and a bit of faith. And with every successful harvest, these farmers prove that modern sustainability doesn't belong to corporations, it belongs to dreamers. The next story could be yours. Whether you're a homesteader in the South, a retiree in the Midwest, or a young dreamer in the city, crab farming offers more than income, it offers purpose. Because in this quiet revolution, the real product isn't just crabs. It's hope. 11. Environmental and community benefits. Crab farming isn't just a business model, it's a movement towards something bigger. It's about changing how we think of food, farming, and the relationship between humans and nature. In a world facing climate change, overfishing, and urban sprawl, this small, quiet revolution represents something profoundly hopeful. A way to make profit and protect the planet at the same time. 1. Protecting nature, one tank at a time. For generations, freshwater crabs were caught from rivers, lakes, and rice paddies, but years of overharvesting, pesticide runoff, and pollution have pushed many wild populations to near collapse. Across Asia, and increasingly in parts of the US, wild crab numbers have fallen dramatically. By farming crabs in controlled, eco-friendly systems, we take pressure off nature and give ecosystems time to recover. Every crab raised in a backyard tank is one less pulled from the wild. This shift allows natural populations to rebuild, preserving biodiversity while still meeting the growing demand for seafood. Unlike industrial fisheries, which depend on large-scale extraction, small-scale aquaculture regenerates rather than depletes. It mimics natural systems, recycling nutrients, maintaining water balance, and reducing waste, proving that profitability and preservation can coexist beautifully. As Tom Nguyen, our Louisiana farmer, puts it, "I used to fish for crabs in the wild. Now, I raise them, and the rivers look healthier than ever." 2. Creating green jobs and rural renewal. Beyond the tanks and profits, crab farming is quietly creating something America desperately needs: green jobs. In small towns where factories have closed and young people are leaving, aquaculture offers a new kind of opportunity: work that's sustainable, dignified, and locally rooted. A single family can start with 1 or 2 tanks. But as the system grows, so do the roles: hatchery managers, feed suppliers, water technicians, marketers, and local distributors. Each tank becomes a hub in a community network of circular economy jobs. This model empowers not just individuals but entire neighborhoods. It gives retirees a second income, keeps young people close to home, and sparks new collaborations between farmers, schools, and eco-entrepreneurs. In states like Georgia and Louisiana, pilot projects are already forming local co-ops where small crab farms share resources, coordinate harvests, and even brand their products under one label: Southern Blue Gold. The idea is simple but powerful. Many small farms working together can have the same impact as one big one, but without the environmental cost. 3. Minimal water, zero chemicals, maximum sustainability. One of the strongest environmental arguments for freshwater crab farming is efficiency. Unlike fish or shrimp farming, which often require high water turnover, crabs thrive in low water systems. Once a tank's ecosystem is stable, farmers can operate for weeks with minimal water exchange, saving thousands of gallons per month. Even better, the system runs without the use of antibiotics or synthetic chemicals. Instead, farmers rely on probiotics, aquatic plants, and natural filtration. The waste produced by the crabs becomes fertilizer for plants. Plants clean the water, and clean water feeds back to the crabs, a closed, regenerative loop. This is regenerative farming at its purest: no pollution, no runoff, no harm. It's a farming method that heals rather than harms. One that future generations can continue without fear of depletion. It's the kind of innovation that environmental advocates, organic markets, and eco-conscious chefs have been waiting for. Imagine restaurants proudly advertising, tank to table, crab, locally raised, chemical-free, and carbon-light. 4. A new philosophy of farming. This movement isn't just changing how people farm, it's changing how they think. Crab farming invites a new kind of stewardship, one where farmers aren't just producers, but protectors. Every clean tank, every recycled drop of water, every thriving crab becomes part of a story that's bigger than any one backyard. It's the story of resilience, creativity, and community, a reminder that sustainability doesn't always require massive infrastructure. Sometimes, it starts with something as simple as a tank and a dream. Small tanks, big impact. That's the power of sustainable aquaculture. That single quote captures it all. In those few words lies a truth that can transform both local economies and global food systems. Because when thousands of small farmers around the world choose clean water, balanced ecosystems, and mindful production, they don't just raise crabs, they raise the standard for what farming can be. 12. The mindset shift. For generations, the American dream of farming was built around land, wide fields, open skies, endless acres. But the world has changed. Land is expensive, weather is unpredictable, and traditional farming is no longer the only path to prosperity. Yet, the spirit of farming, the heart, the independence, the connection to nature, is still alive. It just looks different now. Today's farmers are no longer defined by how much land they own, but by how much creativity they bring. A small backyard tank can carry the same spirit as a 1,000-acre ranch if it's built with purpose, discipline, and love. You don't need acres of land to build a legacy. You just need the courage to start where you are. That simple truth has become the cornerstone of a new generation of farmers, modern pioneers who are proving that sustainability and profitability can exist side by side. even in the smallest spaces. 1. From old roots to new growth. America's farming story began with pioneers, men and women who carved a living from soil, rain, and hard work. They built communities from scratch, fed their neighbors, and passed down values that shaped the nation: independence, resilience, and faith in the land. Today's crab farmers are carrying that same torch, only now, the land they work with isn't measured in acres, but in square feet of water. They're not plowing fields, they're nurturing ecosystems. Just as the old farmers used wagons and horses, the new ones use solar pumps and water sensors. The tools have changed, but the mission remains the same: to provide, to sustain, and to build something that lasts. Crab farming, and modern backyard aquaculture, isn't the end of traditional farming. It's the evolution of it. 2. Farming isn't dying, it's evolving. The biggest misconception today is that farming is fading, that young people no longer care, that technology will replace the farmer. But what's really happening is transformation. Farming is becoming smarter, cleaner, and more inclusive. You no longer need tractors or massive irrigation systems. You need understanding of water, of biology, of cycles. You need an open mind and a willingness to learn. Crab farming represents this evolution perfectly. It uses minimal space. It operates year-round. It recycles everything. And it welcomes anyone, from students to retirees, to participate. In this way, it restores farming to what it always was meant to be: a relationship between people and the planet. Farming isn't dying, it's evolving. The soil may be different, but the soul is the same. 3. From individual effort to community growth. Something magical happens when people start sharing knowledge instead of keeping it to themselves. Crab farming has sparked that kind of community spirit again: neighbors helping neighbors, families learning together, schools setting up educational tanks, and local businesses supporting sustainable supply chains. In places like rural Georgia and southern Louisiana, community co-ops are already forming, where farmers share equipment, split seed stock, and even market their products under one regional label. This cooperative spirit mirrors the old days, when families came together for harvest season or barn raisings. Only now, they're gathering around water tanks instead of wheat fields. Farming has returned to its roots: connection. Connection between people, between families, and between humans and nature. 4. A family legacy reimagined. The beauty of this new farming era is that it's accessible to anyone. Parents can teach their children about biology, responsibility, and sustainability right in their own backyards. Grandparents can pass down farming values without needing heavy labor or massive land. Imagine a child growing up watching crabs molt and grow, learning that life takes patience and balance. That's more than aquaculture, that's education for the soul. Crab farming turns backyards into classrooms, families into teams, and communities into ecosystems of shared purpose. 5. The new American farmer. The new American farmer doesn't ride a tractor at sunrise. He might check a water sensor instead. She doesn't plow fields, she tests pH levels and adjusts feeding schedules. But the pride, the satisfaction, and the quiet connection to life? Those remain exactly the same. This is the future of farming: smaller, smarter, and more personal. A future where the phrase, "Made in America," also means, grown with care. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the size of your farm. It's about the size of your vision. From the soil to the tank, from tradition to innovation, the farmer's heart remains unchanged. And that's the real legacy of this new movement, proving that the future of farming isn't something to fear, it's something to build together. And there you have it, the full journey. From a simple cement tank to a thriving, self-sustaining business. You've seen how clean water and smart management can transform a few square feet of backyard space into a living, breathing system of opportunity. It starts with a tank, not a massive pond or fancy setup. Just a small, well-built foundation filled with potential. Then comes the care, feeding, maintaining, observing, the quiet daily rituals that connect you with nature in a way no office job ever could. Next, the harvest, that incredible moment when months of patience pay off. When you lift a basket of healthy, shining crabs and realize you've created value with your own hands. And finally, the profit, not just in dollars, but in pride, freedom, and the knowledge that you're part of a cleaner, smarter future. This isn't just another business model. It's a movement, a global shift towards sustainability, independence, and respect for the environment. If farmers in Asia can do it, so can you. In Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand, small families are using these same methods to build financial stability and restore their local ecosystems. They're proving that innovation doesn't always require high-tech labs or massive investments, just creativity, consistency, and community. And now, that opportunity is knocking on America's door. Start small, dream big. You don't need acres of land, a team of workers, or industrial machinery. You just need one decision, the decision to begin. Even a bathtub can start your aquaculture journey. That's not a joke. Many successful farmers started with nothing more than a few buckets, a backyard, and a belief in themselves. You can test, learn, and grow at your own pace. Start with one tank, one cycle, one idea. Record your progress, share your results, and connect with others doing the same. Because every great movement, every revolution, begins with small, brave steps. Join the revolution. This isn't just about crabs. It's about rewriting what farming means in the 21st century, making it accessible, profitable, and environmentally responsible. You're not just raising crabs, you're raising awareness, innovation, and hope. So here's your call to action. Subscribe to the Farmer's Alley for more real-world success stories and practical guides. Share this video with anyone who believes that farming has a future, even in cities and suburbs. Comment below with your ideas for the next farming experiment. Maybe it's crabs. Maybe it's fish. Maybe it's something the world hasn't seen yet. Let's build this community together, one tank, one story, one success at a time. Because this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a revolution, a quiet, green, and unstoppable revolution that starts not in giant corporations or factory farms, but right in our own backyards. From backyard tanks to sustainable wealth, the revolution begins with you. So take the leap. The water's perfect.